Hey, hello, Blazor fans. Welcome to another Blazor Power Hour. So, we have live data. We're also collecting some data in the background through the same dashboard page. And I think what we want to do today is kind of re architect this a little bit. So, the proof of concept is sound, but we want to kind of move some services around. I think the idea was we shouldn't be collecting data through the dashboard screen, but maybe put it in a service or something like that. Is
Yeah,
is
we
that
could
right?
easily bury ourselves into a deep hole by
Yeah.
going further right now. So we have two services running. We have the live MQTT service coming from the solar inverter, and then we have the database that we just set up last week. And we want to add each one of these items to the database so that we have historical data that we can show in charts and all sorts of cool stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but as we have it set up right now, everything kind of starts up when we get to this dashboard page, and then we're inserting things there. So maybe we can think about a way that um, when we add things to the database should be happening whenever the service is running and shouldn't be tied to a specific page, that kind of thing. How does Blazor usually
Yeah.
do live services?
So it's an ASP.NET app. So if there's no UI involved, we could handle this in several different ways. One of them is as long as the ASP.NET server is running, the service could be collecting data and storing it. We could also spin up a whole new project as a console app that would run wherever we needed it to, say the server, and store data in the database and not have any front end at all. So it's all up to us on how we want to handle it. We could just continue
Yes.
adding it to the server application.
Yeah, it's not also 100% reliable. So I think the always running console app is a bad idea at this point. Maybe for
Mhm.
like a production enterprise, it would be good. But
Yeah.
what would probably work best if when this application starts up, we it stores data only when the MQTT service is connected. Of course, that's a requirement to get the data points to store in the first place. So maybe is it okay to use another service inside a service, because we could just detach the database from you. Like right now, if we go to home Razor, we'll see that we're adding database items whenever we receive a thing. So I think that's on the
Yeah.
right side. So we can
What
have
would
it in the settings. What were you gonna say?
we want like a background service that's running, right?
Yeah, pretty much, right? And the background service is connected by default, and it can be turned on and off maybe in a settings page, just like we're doing with the button on the dashboard page. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, what I'm mostly concerned about now is that we are storing everything we can while it's connected. And we're doing it all on homepage right now. But if we leave homepage, it's not listening anymore.
Right. So currently, if we were to navigate away from this page, the collection would stop. Like we are no longer collecting data.
Yeah. So
Uh,
that's what I mean about the re-architecture. Can we do it in like program CS,
yeah,
or can we do it?
we could have a service that's running in the app in the background. We may have to look into it a little bit further, but I believe it's fairly straightforward. And if we can't figure out exactly how it's done, there's some Signal R samples that do something similar, even if you're not using the Signal R bits, like the idea or the concept of a background running task in ASP.NET is in that sample set somewhere. I'd have to look it up, but I know I've done this before somewhere at some point.
So if we go to program CS, let's look where it does the migration, because we can create a scope, right? So
Mhm.
service scope, it creates a scope and then it sets up the DB context. It says, hey, do we need a migration? Then do it. If we don't, then don't. And then it leaves that scope. Uh,
Yeah.
Maybe we can create a scope that just starts up the service or stops it in the scope in this case, because the scope is going to be different for every user, right? We'll have a different installation. Well, we don't have a multi-user app here, but what happens if
No.
someone else went to this URL? We want them to be able to get the data from the database instead of directly from the MQTT service, because then it would have two parallel connections and that would break things.
Yeah, so we probably want to save all the data to the database, and then the clients would pull the data from the database at
Yeah.
an interval that would make it somewhat live.
Okay, so can we inject messages data service into the MQTT UI service?
Yes, you can.
So that might be the best way just to save everything, because whenever the MQTT UI service starts up, which is basically when the app starts, right? We can save when it's connected. So if we go over to the MQTT service, yeah. So this messages data service, maybe we should rename it to like database service or something, so it's not confused with the MQTT one.
Okay. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, come on. How about that DB service?
Yeah. And now if we look at the MQTT service, what this basically does is make the connection and allows us to turn it on or off. So in
Mhm.
subscribe async, we don't have anything that listens. We basically leave the responsibility on the consumer to subscribe and unsubscribe. What
Yeah,
we
which we
could
were
do,
doing in the UI.
yeah, we could kind of invert that. The reason why we're doing the UI because we're using the service to update the UI with the values. But if we're going to use the database to do it, then we don't need to do that anymore. If
Right.
that makes sense.
So let's see, we are setting that up in the initialization and on the got message.
Yeah.
So the got message stuff we want to move out. And are we going to put that in this MQTT service?
Is that bad practice? Like my first impulse is say this is the best place to do it because when the
Yeah, there's
MQTT
no bad
service.
practice here that I could see.
Okay,
I
so
do want
let's
to
inject it.
rename this real quick
Yeah.
because I think we're not going to tie this to the UI anymore. We'll just take the
No.
UI bit out.
Yeah.
So this is going to new up our service, and then we just need to start the actual like receiving of data in it. So
Yeah.
can we just
So
grab that code?
yeah, we can get that,
It's
move it in there, and then just take out the UI stuff.
yeah, because there's a bit of UI stuff in there. Let's go ahead and close that.
And we also need to inject the data service too.
Oh yeah, let's do that real quick. So we would need the what do we call it? MQ
The messages DB service.
messages B. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the DB service, and it should be as easy as that
Yeah.
because they're both configured in dependency injection, and it will just inject it. So that's done for free, basically. And then if we start running through got message,
But we need a backing field for the service, right?
no.
So how would we reference DB service from that other method?
So
Well,
we've
let's go
got,
down first. Let's go to where you were and let's move the other code and leave in the one thing that we need. So in the got message method, can take out everything. Um, so we need those first lines, right? And then is database enabled? We can get rid of that if statement because we're always going to use the database and just keep line 74.
all right.
Oh, you need to undo. You took out the one thing that we need. We need to keep line 74. Add
Oh,
measurement. Yeah. And we can get rid of everything below that because that's the UI stuff.
Data service is
DB service. That's what I meant. If we don't have a backing field, how are we going to?
Oh, I see. I put this in the wrong place. Can I do it?
We can do a primary. No, we can't do a primary constructor, right? Yeah.
Let's see. Is it gonna let me mix these?
I don't think so. Like it has to be an empty constructor to use a primary constructor.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. It was up a level. It's not. It is on a constructor itself. So yeah, we do need.
So I guess like on line 14, we duplicate. No. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Let it generate the code for us.
Yeah. Now that method should be resolved at the inside the gut message.
There we go.
Yeah. And everything after that is only UI stuff because we're updating the UI. The only thing that this method's responsibility is to add something to the database.
Okay. And we're always going to capture everything and add it to the database. We don't need to look at any topic names.
Not really. We could cut down on it, but it's only about 12 messages per batch. So I don't see that as too much of a demand. The question is, how often are we going to do it? And we'll set that up after. So this method's main job is just to get the message from the MQTT payload, turn it into an MQTT data item, that object that we can store in the database, and then we add it to the database, which this is already doing because those are extension methods. Perfect.
Okay.
So we can get rid of those comments, maybe even the console line because we don't need that. Oh, maybe we'll keep the console line just for now. Make sure that the service is working in the background correctly.
All right, that's cleaned up pretty good.
Yep, that's perfect. So now we need to, so what we've done so far is we've exposed these methods that say subscribe and unsubscribe. If you scroll up to subscribe, it has setup. Oh, there it is. Not subscribe yet, but the setup MQTT. That one. See how that takes the message delegate? That's what gut message is. So what method in this service, maybe we would call this in the create scope. So we need something publicly, and it doesn't need to pass a thing anymore. So let's create another public async method. Public async task, start something, start async, I guess. And no methods there, and then open that up and then copy all the code out of 30 to 35. I wouldn't cut it yet. Yeah, because we might want another UI part to do it. But we can comment it out just for now. And when we yeah, so where it says to subscribe to message delegate, that will now be gut message. Perfect. Okay. So if we somewhere
so you need to call start async.
Yeah, so this is the part that I'm not familiar with in Blazor. Like, what job or what responsibility would call this method for us? And that's what I'm thinking. Maybe create scope.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna have to do because we don't have one.
Yeah,
that's
we're gonna add two sections there.
User. So it'd be using.
Should we create a second scope, or can we reuse the one the database is using?
Let's see.
Because all we need is the scope from the using statement, and then we get a reference service provider like it does there. So there's the DB context one. Do the same thing, but make it MQT service.
Gotcha. required service. Oh, why does it keep doing keyed? MQTT service. Okay,
Boom.
so we're
Okay.
gonna get that from the service provider and then await MQTT service start async.
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
And yeah, so now we can go back into the class knowing that this method will be called when the application starts running. Yeah, let's go back to MQTT service and think about what happens next in the life cycle. So this connects, and then what does it say? The other two methods we have: the start listening or stop listening, subscribe and unsubscribe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to home. Think in home. That will guide us on the order of operations we need to do here. Yeah. So
So this is where it's used in home,
yeah.
and this is our toggle button.
So we want to call subscribe after at the end of start async.
This is
Not there, but
path.
internal
Yeah,
in
it's
the MQTT service. Not there, but
oh,
inside the actual service itself, like inside that start async method. Yeah.
that's what I
So
thought.
right, we do connect async and then await MQTT client, and we basically do everything inside that other method below. We could probably call the same one, right? Yeah. So it connects, and we can either call subscribe or unsubscribe. In this case, we always want to be subscribed to it, so that should do the job for
So
us.
it's going to auto start until we tell it not to.
Yeah. The other, this would be the option where we would have a setting, like a default setting saying on a settings page or something that says
Mm-hmm.
is connect or not, and we would have that set to true by default. Okay, so if we go to now that we know
Give me
we
one
have we
second in
no
here.
longer need the MQTT service and homepage.
Just doing a little thinking ahead here. So
Yeah,
this is our MQTT service. We have subscribe with options. Is there anything in here that tells us that this is subscribed? Is there anything we could check to tell us that this is subscribed already?
I see what you mean. Like, don't subscribe if it is subscribed. Oh, I haven't written that. There might be. So let's see what's inside the MQTT client object. So what do we have for methods there?
Let's do
It will
this.
tell us topics, right? It'll be a list of topics that we ping async, publish async, subscribe async, unsubscribe. Not really. I guess it's our responsibility to know if we called subscribe or not.
Okay. So we do get a subscribe result back. Let's see what's in a subscribe result.
It's probably better if you copy line 47 to 52 and put that code into our other method instead of items, packet identifier, user
This
properties.
reason string.
That's if it fails. Okay.
So it can fail.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, anything can fail, but it does have this. There's no.
Because
I
subscribe
wonder.
and unsubscribe are two different objects. You actually
Yeah,
have subscribe options builder and an unsubscribe options builder.
I was wondering if we could take when you subscribe it something out of here and stash it in some state and just check that. But uh,
I mean, why not a Boolean? If it doesn't
yeah,
crash, right? We could do a
exactly.
backing field. Yeah.
So let's just do that. Oops. Gosh, I gotta move my keyboard. That's what my problem is. let's actually make this a property. So we might want to check this from somewhere.
Yeah, probably inside our first startup would be a good spot.
So now we have that, and we'll come down to subscribe async. At the end of it is subscribed.
I would, instead of doing this here, take those 4 lines and move it into start async. Take all the code in that, because this is a different operation, and copy and move that up into then instead of that. Yeah, because we still want subscribe async to be a public method if there's some other reason to subscribe outside of the background task.
Why is options failing here? Because we already have options.
Okay, then
Different
make
option.
that subscribe options. Yeah.
There we go. So we don't need this anymore.
Well, keep it there. But it just like the other ones, we're gonna uncomment it for now. I mean, comment it out for now. Yeah, and we'll find that other error. Theoretically, we would not be unsubscribing, but we can leave that there for some reason. Like maybe when the user goes to the settings page and turns off
Oh,
that setting.
actually, let's do this.
Bingo.
And then
The client is
on.
disposable too, I think.
Let's try this.
Yeah. Override disposable. And yeah, I think first we can make sure we unsubscribe, and then we can just dispose of the client.
So we have the.
Oh, when you want if, you check if it's subscribed. So if is subscribed.
Yeah.
Then that would be the unsubscribe call. Yeah. And then outside of the if statement, then we would say MQTT client dispose. Nice. That's interesting.
Maybe
Oh, it's
nullable.
nullable. Yeah.
There we go. I think that's cleaner. And then this way we know when the app shuts down, it's going to call dispose, and then it's going to unsubscribe from it. That way we don't have any loose resources floating around.
Yeah. Who knows what will happen to the broker, right? If it's all
Yeah.
these disconnected clients.
That makes me feel a little better.
Okay, so
Cool.
let's follow this flow. The flow is the app starts up, services are instantiated, then a scope is created. It looks for the service. It checks the DB, which is good that we're doing the migrations before we try the MQTT service.
Yeah.
And then we start async for the MQTT service, which should, and inside start async, we do the connection and then we do the subscription.
Awesome.
All right. So now theoretically, when this app starts up, all these items are being added to the database. So on the home page, all we need to do is query the DB. Let's go take a look at the mess we made of Home Razor. So all of this MQTT service stuff, the MQTT service should not even be injected in this page. So we can start by commenting that out and see the errors we get.
We get the database service here. I think we have our DI in 2 places. So if we go to home, .razor and look at the markup, there's
Yeah, it's at the top.
the inject there. So we probably want to move this to here just to make it consistent. Which DI in .NET 9 is going to be constructor based, which will make this process a little easier.
Nice. So it'll be more consistent with the class.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
We got comments. I did not see the comments. Welcome Fuel Snable, Napalm Codes, and Thindle. Sorry, I got a little distracted writing code and didn't notice. Napalm asked, MQTT, you guys doing something fun with IoT?
we are.
We are. We're building a dashboard for a solar panel array.
The IoT part of this is the actual inverter itself. The inverter that connects to the batteries, connects to the house and the solar panels. It decides on where electricity goes and what it needs. And connected to that inverter, I have a Raspberry Pi 3 running something called Solar Assistant. The Solar Assistant app has an MQTT broker in it that lets me subscribe to it. So I surface that over HTTPS so that we can use a web app like this to get those messages.
So we can ditch the last render stuff now. If we need to bring it back, we can.
Yeah, because we still want to show live data, which means maybe every 3 seconds we query the database for the most recent value. But now we're not dependent
there's
on
better ways to do that
Okay.
than this is a push mechanism. We're going to be polling, so we can do this on at our leisure instead of being forced to check and throttle.
Nice. Oh, they're starting to feel like a more legit app now. That's good.
Yeah.
We can get rid of toggle connection because it happens automatically.
That can go. I'm going to delete that.
You know what would be nice though is maybe like, well, keep going and getting out the code. I'm just brainstorming here. I'd like to see some sort of indicator that shows that we're actually connected, right? So like a little red or green light in the toolbar or something, or just a little thing that says connected.
Yeah, that's why I made that a public property on the service. So we ditched all that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that line. And then on init, actually, we're going to want to keep on init. Oops.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we're going to do.
Don't want to set up a surface here.
No.
Take that out. And then our UI is going to have some breaks in it. So we don't need a button to toggle the connected state anymore.
That would maybe just where we can put the label, I guess.
Yeah, so let's save the code there just so we can replace it with something else. And then do we have any more broken things? I see something up here. What is it? Oh, that didn't get removed. All right. So all of our components pretty much stay the same, but now we're not feeding them any data. They have no data at all. So in uninitialized async, we're going to have to do something. Should we compile, see if there's any errors real quick?
Yeah, it'll probably show some spots we forgot. Yeah, Napalm, X509 for life, indeed. He's talking about the beauty of SSL, which all my self-hosted lab stuff that I want the convenience of having it over the internet. It all goes through a reverse proxy that's up in Azure, and that reverse proxy communicates with my internal stuff over VPN. So at no point can you get my external IP address or anything like that. So it's beautiful.
I'm going to reboot Visual Studio. I think when I removed that unused project, it broke the what are those things called? The communication channel with the compiler, because it's throwing erroneous errors. So let's try rebooting Visual Studio.
Yeah, Napalm is similar to like AWS is a IoT gateway or Azure gateway, where you want those individual devices to be surfaced in a safe manner behind a firewall or network trapping rules that only send over a certain port. It's all good stuff.
There we go. Notice all the red squiggles went away that were just flying
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, no
Okay.
warnings or no errors. It was a warning,
Nice.
but it's something silly, like in a wait that
Right.
to
Yeah.
uninitialize that we're sitting at. So we do have the database here injected, right?
Yeah.
So
So we would
data
query the
service.
data service for an MQTT data item. That's what the object comes back at. And the way I wrote the service, we should be able to get an enumerable. So I forget what it's called.
We got a few more things, I think. Excuse me. We can delete. Is subscribed can go away,
Yeah.
and last render could go away. Is database enabled? Where were we setting
We
that
don't
at?
need that anyway. That was
Say
for
it's
if
not
we were
referenced.
gonna save. Yeah. Probably don't need the refresh rate either. That was the first backing field. The one with the comment says UI update rate. That was because of the hack, right?
Where is that? What line am
Scroll
I looking for?
26.
Oh, there we go. Lots of fields there. And then these are all UI related stuff. Then, wait, do we have live messages?
This was basically a collection for us to make sure things were working. The database handles that now. So
All right. And then just a quick build again to double check and make sure. Yeah, succeeded
nice.
there. Okay. So we need data, and we're going to have to have like our solar data. And then what kind of, oh, we need a type. What's the type coming out of the database?
MQTT data item.
Oops.
And this data item is one for each individual kind of property. So the good thing about having the database is that we can query it and it will find the most recent message that is for that type. So let's say we want the PV power. That's probably a good one to start with.
So we will, yeah, let's do this. We want to get the DB, or is it data service? And then get a
Measurement.
measurement.
Yeah.
Get measurements async or get all measurements. We want to get measurements.
Yeah. And start and end time will we could probably make this a little better by actually having good queries, because the way the service class is set up right now is it just gets the last X number.
Okay.
Um, because we're going to have to check again. Yeah, just let's say the last 10 minutes. Because the whole idea for this service was that every once in a while it gets all the measurements from the last 5 minutes, and then we parse out what we want out of those 5 minutes.
Okay. So we want to say date, time now. Let's see. We're doing, what's the date range here?
So I would do
Start and
daytime
end.
now. Yeah. So start would be like now minus 5, add minutes minus 2. And the next one would be daytime now.
And I always mess this one up. That one's a property. What is it angry at?
Wait, maybe. Oh, it doesn't return an array. So do var s data equals. I mean, for the property that you're setting. So right now it's solar data at the very beginning of that line.
Yeah, we're getting what
Yeah.
does data service bring back?
That's what I'm saying. We need to change that to just something like var s data for
Oh,
now.
generic list of MQTT data item.
But it's an array right now.
Yeah, but
We don't want to set that yet. So first do a wait before the method, and then we're going to change the property that's being set. So make that like a local variable for now. So var x equals whatever. So this is now a list, I believe. Like x should be list of MQTT data. Yeah. Yeah. So now we need to look through this list. We query the list with link, and we can check for what's the name of that property? I don't have the code in front of me anymore. That link broke. So you do the predicate. The item goes to. It's going to be the whole object. Yeah. So item dot topic equals, and then we're going to use the topics list because it's so long. So topic name helper, I think it is. Oh no, I'm sorry. You were right. Its topic name is the enum. There we go. Now we look for the photovoltaic, which I believe is
PV something.
yeah. Okay, PV energy total. Try that one. And then you finish that query, and that will give us. We want to do the first of that. So first or default, yeah. Assuming it'll give that to us. And the backing field, what did we call it? PV something? No,
Do
I
we
mean
need to two-string this?
maybe
Because we're looking for a topic equal to an enum, but the topic isn't an enum, it's a string.
Yeah.
So the string is the string value of it, right?
Yep. So inside of it, that message is going to be that long string with the looks like a path.
Or is there a way to get how did the helper work?
I have a helper that tells us which is which. Oh
So
no,
I think we need to run it through the helper, right?
yeah. So we take the topic name, take that whole thing out, topic name helper. I think it's topic name helper. Get topic name. Yeah, there we go. Get topic from topic name.
There we are. I knew something was off there. First or default, and then we need to do something with that.
That will be it's not a var, it's actually the backing field at this point, right? So what did we call it? PV total or something? It's on at the top. That it's the backing field, yeah. PV power.
I lost the line. Where is it at? Or on init somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So PV power.
And that will probably need to be two string because I believe it's an integer. Yeah.
And it doesn't like that.
We can squish it into a first to default. So instead of a where, it can be a first to default in the whole query itself. And then two string. Now what's the problem? Oh, it's a null thing again.
Possibility of null. So X could have been null here is what it's thinking. If X is not null, then query it. No, is that not what it's? That's not the null it's talking about. Item could be null.
So if well, that technically X is the item, right? Or maybe I in the goes to item.
This is item. So
Maybe topic could be null. So we do item question mark topic.
this is item is not null there. So
Yeah.
what is this null angry at?
This is the new .NET 9 stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Or C#
The
12.
extension method first to default returns MQTT data item. That could be null. So this returns a possible null.
The
So
topic
like
name
it's
helper or
the toString too. So I'm just trying to suss out where this is happening.
is it the topic name helper method or the whole
Is it the
query?
first or default? There it is.
Okay.
Oh, no, it doesn't like this. X is not null here. Oh, MQTT data items does not contain a definition first or default.
Because it's no longer a list. How did that happen? What?
List of MQTT data items does not contain a definition for first or default.
It doesn't like the overload?
I guess. I thought that was a proper overload. Like you're giving it
The default
the.
value, right?
Oh, okay. What does our overload actually say here? So we've got a function that returns the item or true or false. So predicate. If we add. Oh, I put the wrong type, I think. It still doesn't like that.
Or what if we just say no? Because it's a dereference error, right? If we tell it to no, then it's not dereferenced anymore.
Argument null, exception, possible null reference assignment. I don't know. It thinks there's a possibility for null in here somewhere. Why am I not able to like figure out where this is at? So we call first or default. That alone saves us from, well, it doesn't save us from a null. It just makes sure that it's not found. If it's not found, it's going to return a null.
Right. If we use first, then it throw an exception. So by using this, it's supposed to return a null if it's not found. So why is it giving us a headache for it?
Because we're assigning it to PV power, which is a string.
Oh yeah, what if
Let's
you
see the
do var y equals, right? And see what it says now. Yeah.
still unhappy here. It's got to be in this topic equals.
Because what if topic is null? You know something, instead of that
Topic
extension
nullable?
method.
Yeah, topic is nullable.
Yeah.
It may be null there, so we could do that. That would
And use
short
an empty
circuit.
string instead of the topic name helper. Just a quick test. You don't even take that whole thing out and make it an empty string. And it's just still an issue. So it's not the helper method that's an issue.
No, it's something here. Possible dereference of null. Even though I'm using that, why is it not helping to use the null operator here? Let's do it the old-fashioned way and see what it's doing. Like we return null on purpose. Like what? Making it worse. It's definitely thinking item could be null in here though. Item dot let's see, topic. Oh, I repeated that. Jeez, it's got me flustered. Good old null ability. What are we doing wrong, chat? What is the compiler looking for here? We're doing a first or default. We're checking the item topic name. Topic may be null. It's not letting me
bang all the things.
Just like I get that it may be null, but I'm saying, okay, if it's null, then just short circuit here and return null. It's first or default. So what's the big deal? Okay, so now it's hitting on the first or default. So we can't call toString. There we go. Got it. Jeez. Stupid null ability.
Is it still in your clipboard?
Name helper, no.
And then the topic name is PV total something. PV energy total.
That was it. And then this is
I'm missing a parenthesis after total.
yeah.
Not there, but after the total, right? Inside, I think you moved that inside by accident. So right after where PV energy total, before the question mark, we need 2 parentheses. Yeah, one there, and then get rid of the one at the end. Yeah.
Got it. All right. And then this can go back now to PV power. And then this whole thing can return null. So that's where the...
But we would need to make the backing field a null, right? It's just a regular string, nullable string.
It's a regular string, and this returns a nullable string.
So we could change the backing to nullable or make it not.
If this were to come back null, what we could do is say, is this going to cloudy things up too much?
There you go.
Yeah. We'll just set it to an empty string, right?
Yep.
That works. The other way works too. If it's nullable, well, actually, let's do this because this is power. So let's do, no, 0's not right either.
Maybe right? A dash.
We'll do the JavaScript thing. Does anybody like that one? I'm kidding. I would not do that. Not to my worst enemy.
Okay, so if we run this, we're not going to have the data just yet. So the app will be running.
Okay, we didn't need the if statement. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll kind of like on initialize. When does that happen? It happens like almost right away. So we want to give the app some time or make this in a button click instead of on initialized because the database is not going to have enough data in it to make this query come back with the result.
Well, we're going to be doing this every few seconds, right? So this isn't going to be a problem.
So should we put it in a helper method?
But we still want it to kind of keep
like a method like get values or get last values, and then
Yeah,
because we're
put
going to
this.
do the PV power query for all of the things we want to see. So we're going to get the list of the past 2 minutes, and then we'll say PV power equals this query, something something power equals this query, the voltage equals this query. But not necessarily just PV power, but all the values. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
Yeah.
call it get values for now, and then
We can do a couple other at the same time. What other backing fields do we have? We have 3 more, right?
yeah. So when we call the get measurements async, we're getting
The
what's the
last two
difference
minutes
between
of all messages.
what's okay, and all is like the complete history of all time.
In that time period. Oh, you mean get all measurements async? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
huge at this point.
So we got a couple things to grab. We've got. Do we want to just look up here? Grid power, load power.
Yeah.
All right. Grid power, load power. Do we want any of these?
Which one are we showing in the UI? Those are the ones we actually want to set. So we look at the boxes. I lost the connection to your Visual Studio. I'll look at the prototype.
So grid power, load power. Let me know if I'm getting any of these wrong. I did grid inverter.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one they were, and I'll have to look at the. Actually, you commented it out, right? Scroll down.
Even if I didn't, we can just do get
Yeah.
view unmodified.
Yeah. So scroll down to the area where we get the message. So get message, and then we look at there they are. Those are the ones.
Power 1, grid inverter 1, load power, inverter 1.
So we're kind of repeating this by using database queries. Exactly.
Yeah. So we had the battery power 2. And then state of charge. So let's start with battery 1, state of charge. Goes to battery percent level. Battery percent level. State of charge.
And instead of toString, we need to parse it into a double.
Okay.
So it comes out as a string. You need to turn it into a double to bind it to the UI.
So originally we're doing toString on what, the MQTT object?
We
Or
don't
no?
need that. I don't like typically we don't need the toString. I think that was just to satisfy the queries results because they're
Oh,
already strings.
so
Right?
this is already string, then that should have worked. No, it's coming back as an MQTT data item. Is there a property I should have grabbed off of it? Value? Or we
Wait a second. So scroll to the left a little. We're querying the list. We find the first item of type that matches that, which will be an MQTT item. And we need to check topic. Topic is the value we want to assign to PV. No, I'm sorry, value. Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
we're doing this wrong.
dot value.
So we wanted value, and then the value
That
could be
value
what?
should be a string. Yeah.
but it doesn't know that, so we have to toString it. Jeez. Blessing and a curse, folks. All right, let's see, battery charge. Do the same thing here, dot value.
And this one is going to, instead of toString, we need to do double dot parse. We need to parse that value into a double, right? Yeah, double dot parse payload.
Double parse that.
And default, I guess, would be 0, right?
Yeah. Let's see, do I have my parentheses in the right place? I do. And then we can just use the default 0 there. Is that right? What is it angry at?
We have to do toString again on the value before passing it to the parser. The value object is a string, right? Hover over the dot value. Yeah, it's a string.
Yeah, it's a nullable string. Oh, wait, so it's already, let's see, the parentheses I think are in the wrong spots here. So I've got this one, opens it up, topic name, battery value, and then close that. That is wrong. No?
You're inside the query now, right? Not in the.
If I call that there. Yeah, it's trying to say that we may parse a null string.
And what if we toString this value from a nullable string to a string?
But we'd have to do it that way. And then that's going to be the same problem.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to throw back the 0. But I don't think we... actually, it'd have to be a string that goes back, right?
No, you're in the parse method because this should return a double. The end of the link query is right
I'm
before
having a
the
hard time finding.
value.
This long string is really killing me. This long text here. So we've got... we're going to return the item. There's the default. Damn, that's what I was looking for. So the default, if it comes back, there, 0 did work there. No, it does not work there.
Are you trying to get the default from the link query or the default for the parse?
The default, like, okay, so the MQTT item comes back. If it's null, then we supply the default value. So the first or default is what I'm trying to hit. I think I've got it here, but then we're going to parse it.
But not yet, because a 0 is not an MQTT item.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Damn. All right. You can't parse a nullable string.
That's basically why we're having the issue right now, right? So how do we convert a nullable string to a regular string?
That's right. So we do this and then return.
There you go. That should have the same result. Yeah.
And we can parse it. All right.
I think that and we'll do the same thing for the next couple, because like battery power is a bubble. Yeah.
Do you want to just check and see if this is going to work?
Yeah. I'm running out of time, so we should exactly do that. Yeah.
And then We're
How
only
do
gonna
we
get
call it?
we're not gonna get live values, we're gonna get one set of values, so we'll have to
Yeah.
keep doing this over and over again.
But I think we need to hook this up to a button because the app's not going to be. Well, I guess if we launch the app a couple times back and forth, it'll start to build up data. What was the
Okay.
error?
That our server's not running?
So yeah, instead of
Oh,
initializing,
it's in, release, so it may be hitting an exception, and it was shutting itself down before it reported it. Yeah. Only implements async disposal. Use dispose async to dispose the container.
oh, it's inside a using statement, so it's going to call dispose when it leaves that scope. Oh, that's going to be a problem
Mhm.
because that scope is gone by the time it's in. It's not running in the background.
Yep. Yeah, I'll have to look this one up.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
there is a way to do this in ASP.NET. Like I said, this happens with, um, or it used to, so I might have to look at some old stuff, but it works with, Signal R this way. So there's
MQTT
probably
is
a way.
similar, right? So you can think of it like a Signal R service,
Mhm.
except you're subscribed. It's pub sub. Okay. Well, it's a good spot to stop, I think, and then we can come back next week with how we would spin up that background service so it's running and populates the database.
Yeah, I know there's a way to do it. There's some, like, DI hook that you have to add to it. I can't remember how to do it off the top of my head. So, we'll
And that
figure that
sounds
out and get
right
it running.
because we're working with the DI system and not in an individual scope. Like you
Yeah.
should tell the DI system, run this and let it run kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty. So we will continue this, for next time. I'm not gonna commit these changes yet until we figure out exactly what has to happen. Take care.